Ciara Thompson. I am the lead singer of a soul band out of Lyon, France called the Buttshakers
Mm.
that have been around. We're actually going into our 10th year of existence as a band. So yeah, we've been going around Europe for a couple years now, touring and trying to spread that good old soul music.
That's amazing. So, what got you into music, and how did you and your band come together to make the Butt Shakers?
Yeah, I got into music probably like a lot of young kids do. I was raised in a Southern Baptist church,
Hmm.
so we were going to church 3 times a week, and it was just all singing and praising and not really. I mean, beyond the music, it was kind of the experience. As a child, I remember watching adults because like my parents were into like kind of like intense Christianity, where it was
Mm.
like people like going into trance and speaking in tongues and rolling on the ground. And I remember as a kid being like, this is what music can do to people. Like this is
Mm.
crazy. Like the power of it is so intense. So after that, I did a lot of like orchestra and band in school. I was playing trumpet for a long time and then baritone. But I actually ran into the butt shakers. I came to France, grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and then I moved to France when I was 21 for like a 1 year study abroad program,
Mm.
and ended up meeting the former guitar player of this band because to explain the backstory of the Butt Shakers, it was originally a cover band of just like a bunch of guys hanging out in their basement and playing covers of old soul songs, especially in France because it's kind of definitely a niche kind of it's a very small but very loyal scene. So they were doing covers when I came along, and we started pretty soon getting into like making our own music, and that kind of bold like that turned into most of the other most of the other members leaving the band for multiple reasons, but the band really like stabilized. Yeah, I was saying like 10 years ago, and so we've been playing since then. We've been playing together. My goodness, I'm trying to like I'm losing all my words here. Sorry.
No, take your time. Take your time. It's okay.
But yeah, we've been playing for 10 years. This is our third album that we're working on at the moment. We just finished recording it, and we're going to be releasing it in November. So things are going smoothly, but it is weird making music in France
Mm.
because it's just so different. There's not the hustle mentality is not as the same in France as it is in the States.
So, how long have you been in France? Did you say 10 years or something?
I've been in France for 13 years. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. What was that transition like, moving from the States to France?
It was it was hard, but I didn't realize it at the time. I
Mm.
was really young and just really like excited to be away and kind of like living this crazy. Because I came to France as a student and I immediately met the guys from the band and the Butt Shakers, and I also like kind of stumbled into the squatting scene.
Mm.
So like squatting houses for political purposes, not like not people that need a house necessarily, but squatting empty housing for people without papers, immigrants, all different reasons. And that really like occupied a lot of my time. So kind of like 5 years passed, and I was like, whoa, I've been in France for 5 years, making music and kind of working in these political organizations. So that really just like I didn't even realize until afterwards. I was like, whoa, I'm learning this a new language, living in a totally different culture that is so foreign to me. Because I'm not in Paris either. I'm living in Lyon, which is the second biggest city in France.
Mm.
But even that difference is so different because or Paris is very cosmopolitan. There's lots of different cultures and mixing. Lyon is very conservative. It's a
Mm.
very rich money, conservative kind of city. So that was weird too, because I grew up in St. Louis where there is wealth, but you don't see it. It's not the same. I don't know. It's like these are like this is old money
Yeah, yeah.
that like I don't know, like wine, champagne, slavery money. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I I've always wanted to visit France. If we were to go, do you have any like non-touristy spots that I could visit?
Oh yeah, you if you came to Leon, I would show you a good time for sure. I mean, but that's a whole nother issue that French people do not like talking about. But their whole like even the nightlife scene is very different. I mean, they're just French people are very. I mean, they're much more like cognitive. I don't know. They're very
Mm,
when at 21, when I was super excited about like drinking wine and talking about philosophy. Now at 34, I'm just like I just want like to get really drunk and like black out and do stupid stuff like what you can do in the States. Like they're
yeah.
kind of like that stupid fun missing in French people. But no, you could. I mean, I'll show you a good time if you came to came to Lyon, and you can. There's definitely lots of beautiful things that aren't necessarily touristy to do. But
Mm,
I mean, living in France as an African American person is, I feel like it's easier than a lot of other, if and not a lot of other nationalities. It's kind of they like I don't know in France, well, they people really see us as being like cool, Obama, Denzel
mm,
Washington, like they just really like, which is nice. I mean, I definitely enjoy that kind of like, oh, you're American, oh, great, like we had that shine on us all the time.
mm. Yeah, I've heard from many different experiences that, well, maybe France is the exception, but other countries don't like Americans so much.
Uh, no, yeah, well, it was easy when there was Trump because like everyone was just like everyone was in agreement of being like, what is going on? Like
Yeah,
Americans are crazy, and you're like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, we really are. Um, no, I mean that's why I kind of like separated that being African American is different in France. Like
mm,
we had this like cool swag all of a sudden we're just like yeah, I mean it's very strange, but then as an American there's just the stereotypes about Americans that we're all fat and lazy
yeah.
and dumb, and you're just like damn, like really this is this is the image we give off. Like I didn't growing up in the States, you definitely don't, I feel like you definitely don't get that education of how the world sees us.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree. Um, Besides gaining a love for music in church, do you have any other inspirations? Like any favorite artists that you listen to, or anything like that?
In music
Yeah,
or in
or in,
music,
or in general, we get inspired from many different things.
for sure. I mean, I've always had a serious passion for music. I mean, it's definitely something that because I love the fact that you can mix word and sound. I think that those are two. I mean, I my second big passion is literature. So that's why I came
Mm,
to France. I was studying French literature, and I feel like words. I mean, which is weird. I came to France to learn another language, and it's while I was learning another language that I realized how amazing English is
yeah,
and all like the particularities of our language and how you can play with it is so different than any other. I mean, it's also my native language, so there's like a sort of like home. I feel at home when I'm speaking in English, and so what I love about music is being able to mix sound and the textuality of words
mm,
in the same boat. But like I feel like artists when I was a kid, I really liked classical music.
mm,
I was really into like weird funk. Like I was really into funkadelic and then Vivaldi. Those were my two passions as a kid. But then I kind of discovered through a Christian youth summer program punk rock music,
mm,
and that just like bam, that really woke me up to the fact that you don't have to be like an amazing artist to be a musician. You don't have to. I mean, you don't not. I said that terribly. Let me reword that. I feel like punk taught me that you don't have to like be the greatest guitarist in the world to make music. You don't have to be the greatest singer. in the
Mm,
world to be able to sing. You can, with, you know, with your own capacities, you can make great things, amazing things that can touch other people. And I really liked that energy and the messages behind that, especially in, you know, feminist messages and things like that, that really inspired me. So I feel like artists in general that really inspired me is, for me, the greatest artist of all time is Nina Simone.
mm,
For her words, her music, her life, I just feel like she really she really encapsulated an entire, I mean, an entire trauma of, I mean, of that generation of like the 50s and 60s and 70s that touches me in a way that no other artist has ever done before.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
would definitely say Nina Simone, and then another artist, totally different, would be the writer Virginia Woolf, is
Mm,
another artist that I feel like really pushed boundaries and how we can express ourselves and how our perspective, what our perspective can be. So those are two artists that, hands down, I've always had a lot of respect for.
yeah. I feel the same way about artists like Marvin Gaye or James Brown.
Mm,
Just the complexity within their music, not only vocally but lyrics and um, the way the instrumentals just move your spirit. You know,
yeah.
it's like hitting you from all different ways, and to me that makes a great artist when they can touch your spirit from instrumentals, lyrics, and just vocally, and just it's a great combination.
Mm-mm. I mean, that's the power of music. It's just this way of, like, it touches on so many. I mean, I went so far as to studying it in school for, you know, I did a master's in English literature and really studying sound patterns and
Mm,
how you can play with words to make an emotion. And what's amazing in English is you even have, like, just the sonority of things will kind of, you know, I feel like words are like painting. Like, you can use a certain
mm,
color that will subconsciously reveal something to the listener that they didn't even know was there. And I feel
mm.
like, yeah, like, you know, like Marvin Gaye or James Brown, those were definitely artists as well that. And I feel, thinking about that, I'm definitely thinking of also, Curtis Mayfield is someone I feel like
Yes.
his lyrics are just, so even saying the simplest things. I mean, his lyrics make you. I mean, it's visual. You are completely with him. He's like guiding you through these kind of like stories of the ghetto, and it's
Mm,
also heartbreaking at the same time, but uplifting. Like, there's something, that's what I love about these artists that can kind of play around between sadness and joy,
yeah.
which something I feel like we are missing in the Buttshakers. We're kind of, I mean, with this, you know, situation of our the last 2 years, the way things have been, it's hard to find joy
Mm.
right now. I feel like it's really hard to find joy, but more and more I feel like I need that. And so I've been trying to write songs that are a little bit more joyful, and it's not easy.
So what is your creative process like? Like, how do you write music? Do you start with the instrumental first, or do you just write first? Like, what's the process like?
Well, I really stick to, in the Butt Chicken, I mainly just do the lyrics and melodies. And
Mm,
it's really our guitar player, Sylvan Laurence, who's a funny guy because he started out in metal. He's a
mm,
big metalhead and a damn good guitar player. And he, writes, not the majority, I wouldn't say the majority, but he writes a lot of our original riffs. Like, I mean, this last album, because of the pandemic, we were forced to write a lot, you know, individually on our own without getting to see each other and practicing together. So Sylvan sent us a lot of, you know, turns, you know, just a verse that will just turn for like 4 or 5 minutes. And then with the magic of, I discovered, what did I use? Fruit Loops or something, you know, like
yeah, I know
all these like,
Fruity Loops. Yeah.
I'm so shitty at like anything with the computer. It's just not my jam. But I learned how to, like, at least cut, you know, slice little parts.
Hmm,
And so
hmm.
then you could just, like, you know, from there on you can just make up your song I mean, it's a weird cut and paste sort of thing. But so we worked a lot by that, but just like sending riffs, and then if something like I really work by, that immediate spark. Like if something just like, if I immediately find something like, oh yeah, okay, like that's usually where I'll go. I'll just kind of follow that intuition.
Mm.
And from there we kind of worked on structures, and then once we saw each other, we were kind of able to work out all the kinks, as we could say. But yeah, it's weird. I mean, the pandemic really changed things, because we before would just practice for hours. We would practice every Monday and Tuesday. That was our schedule for like 5 years. So with the pandemic, that definitely forced us to rethink about how we would work together.
I can definitely tell the practice and the work ethic from songs like Back in America, I Wanna Know,
Mhm.
and others. I don't know if you ever heard of this artist, but it kind of gave me like Sharon Jones vibes,
Oh my
you
God.
know?
Now you're
And
just flattering us.
no, it's just like it's really good, authentic music. Like I know when music is good when I can just turn it on and I could clean the house and I can cook and just I don't want to say background music, but
Oh, live your life. Yeah.
yeah, like lifestyle music. Like that is really good music to me.
Well, thank you. That's a great. I mean, we definitely listen to the Daptones and their whole universe.
Mm,
Well, recently, I mean, they're it's hard to fill such big shoes like Sharon. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna pull out next. That's gonna be like the big next soul band. That's amazing, because Sharon Jones and Charles Bradley are some pretty big shoes to fill. But
absolutely.
I wish them well in their search for the next big soul thing. But like, I don't know if you been listening to them recently. I mean, they're kind of like a lot of these soul records are kind of opening up to different sounds, but I feel
Yeah.
like everyone's kind of searching. 2021 has been a weird year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to well for a lot of people who like artists like yourself who go on tour and feel the vibe from the audience and stuff like
Yeah.
that, it's hard to, I guess, get inspired to create anything that's up to your standards as an artist, you know?
Yeah. Well, we've had this back and forth for the last year now, this back and forth discussion of should we do a Facebook Live or not? Like everyone else is doing it. Everyone's doing these like, at home videos where like, with there's 7 people in their living room playing guitar.
Hmm.
And I have no like I don't have any problem with people doing it, but I just feel like for us, that's so pointless. Like there's no without an actual audience, like with people in front of us, there's our music is kind of void of sense. I mean, it's really
Mm,
hard to, or I mean, I don't know if that. I mean, maybe you could maybe change my mind about it, but I feel like it's hard to watch the like. It depends on the kind of music, but I haven't seen any soul bands that have done a live that has really been like, oh yeah, like I felt that. I feel like it's kind of it's such a music that's like and the moment. Like you really have to see it live
yeah.
to feel the energy, because it's
It's just like church. It's just like,
yeah, when you watch church, if you watch, have you? My parents have been doing virtual churching,
mhm.
and they showed me, and I was like, okay, like I mean, we're not into church at all anymore, but like that was really
Yeah, like you miss the call and response. You miss the energy from the crowd, you know, when you sing a certain note or when the guitarist hit a certain riff, that callback
yeah,
is troubling, you know. It's just this pandemic has been crazy.
yeah. How is it in the States now? That are you vaccinated?
No, I haven't gotten vaccinated. My lady has gotten vaccinated because of her job. She works at a school, so
Okay,
she had to get her vaccine. But to be honest, I'm still kind of afraid to get
really?
vaccinated. Yeah, it's still kind of fresh, you know. Usually it takes years to develop a vaccine, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
did it within months. So I'm not sure.
I can hear that on that. I mean, yeah, I feel like it's weird. I mean, so I'm mixed race. My mom is white, my dad is black.
Mm,
And so I feel like I've always my entire life I've always had very two different sides of of life in general, and how like looking at America works. And yeah, like most of like my white side of my family, everyone's vaccinated.
Yeah.
And then the black side is all like, I'm gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait and see
Yeah.
how it goes. And I understand that caution that black people have about medicine in America. I mean,
Mm.
like it's just not. I mean, I'm over here in France just being like, please, someone give us a goddamn vaccination because no one there aren't even vaccines here. Like you can't even get vaccinated if you want to get vaccinated.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we still have a curfew. We have a five. We have a no. A 7 p.m. curfew that has been in place for like the last 6 months.
Wow. That's got to be torture.
It is. I'm trying to stay positive about it, but it's really like it's it's just weird because I feel like once you start getting like talking about it with other people, you start getting into these like weird conspiracy theories where people are like, it's because the government's trying to control us, and I'm like, that's totally true, but like for fuck's sake, like something has to change because in France,
Yeah.
this is like a disaster. I mean, like we're still in lock. We just got out of our third lockdown that didn't change anything. There's like apparently people are really sick, but I mean, whoo, I need a break. I need a break
Yeah. Yeah.
from reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely one of those, I guess, quote unquote conspiracy theorists. But
On what end? Okay, don't tell me you're QAnon. Please do not tell me you're QAnon.
no, 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 no. I just look at it from a different lens, you know. If you look at
You're
America,
cautious. I mean, there's a
yeah,
difference
yeah,
between
yeah, yeah.
cautious. Yeah.
If you look at American history, I don't want to get banned, but like the government has done some crazy stuff to its citizens. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah.
And every few years we get a different uh corona, bird flu, swine flu,
Mm.
all these different type of things that I don't know. I don't want to get too deep in it because we're here to talk about you and your band, but I don't know. I'm just a cautious person. I question everything.
No, for sure. Having a critical mind is a good thing to have.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean, we could talk about a whole nother pandemic. I recently watched. I don't know if you ever watched John Oliver. He has like a show on HBO, and he was talking about the next pandemic and how like
Hmm.
globalization and how we like cross animals and people, and I mean, so yeah, it's really obvious that something like this is going to happen, but it's mainly just like the response of our governments that's mind blowing. We're just like,
Yeah,
how are any of you adults? Like, there's not a fucking adult in the room. Like, no one is responsible,
yeah.
and everyone has their head. I mean, yeah.
And the people doesn't come first. You know what I
No,
mean? It's all
no.
about
If
wealth.
that was it, we would have had like a global shutdown or something. Like
Right, right.
which is weird because in France, that's what's weird about France is that they have had this huge like for artists, for example, we had an année blanche, so like a white year,
Mm,
where they just been paying us to not work, which is crazy. And they've been doing the same thing for restaurants, like so pretty much culture and restaurants and all, the food industry has been saved because of that.
mm.
So there's like this weird semi-socialism where they're giving us money to stay safe, but at the same time you still have to take the metro and the subway, and like you're constantly crossing, like you can't, unless you're in your house staying away from everyone, you can't avoid humanity.
Right, right.
And instead of like just being like, let's do this responsibly, and like other countries I feel like other countries have been able to do that of, we don't need to cut, we don't need to close all restaurants, but we'll just have like separate seating and outdoor
Hmm.
seating and like,
Hmm. Hmm.
social distancing. And in France, it's just been like, no, we'll just close everything. Everything is closed.
Yeah. I mean, I like that more, like just close everything until I don't want to say it blows over, but what baffles me is how can somebody go to the airport, social distance, and as soon as they get on the plane, they're right next to like
Exactly.
to the
Yeah.
other people. It's crazy to me. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Well,
make any
I mean, that's the
sense.
same thing in France is there's still, so, restaurants are closed, but you're still everyone else is still going to their regular, office jobs. So everyone's taking the metro or the subway or the bus, you're
Hmm.
sitting
Hmm.
smashed. And, if you take the bus at 8:30 in the morning, you were like literally smashed in between 100 people, and you're like, how is this
Yeah.
safe? But we can't have, you can't have a concert hall can't be open, or you can't go to a restaurant, but I can, literally have my cheek against someone in the subway and no one thinks, it's just these inconsistencies that are infuriating. I mean, and it's just been really hard for in culture in France because we haven't had anything. I mean, no shows, no theater, no cinema.
Mm. That's yeah, that's tough. So has this pandemic impacted your creativity? I know there's a large number of people all across the world who I guess fall into like some type of depression or loneliness or even have cabin fever. Like how has this pandemic impacted your creativity?
I'm starting to get to the cabin fever section of it. At first, it was like, this is great. Like, I had a baby during the pandemic. That was
Oh,
cool.
congrats.
Yeah, thanks. So that was a nice part of it, of being like having a good excuse of not doing anything for 9 months and just letting myself like get fat, which is cool. Uh, not fat, baby fat. But no, like that was great. And like having these like real family moments, because say my partner wasn't working, so we had these like actual moments where it just wasn't like rushing and going to work and constantly being speeding around in our lives. That was nice.
Mm.
But and so that's how we really ended up working the new album, which back in America is on Arcadia. We wrote that pretty much from the beginning of the first lockdown in France, which was in March. From like March 2020 until August, we wrote the entire album, more or less
Wow.
the entire album. So that was like the first beginning of the pandemic was really like creative, and I feel like there was just a lot going on, and it gave us time to think about what was going on as well. So it was kind of
Mm.
helped for that, like kind of like more. I mean, I feel like a lot of the songs are definitely more contemplative in general. I mean, kind of the pandemic forced me to look at. I mean, especially back in America, was kind of we wrote that at the beginning of the pandemic when everyone was talking about America and how crazy. I mean, when I think the day I started thinking about it was the day that Trump said that we should inject bleach or something crazy.
He did.
We should just inject bleach. And I was like, okay, we've hit rock bottom. Like now
Yeah.
we've officially hit rock bottom. Um, and it was just, yeah, I was just starting to think about like, I mean, I feel like the pandemic did that to everyone. It's just like what's important in our life, what
Yeah.
is going on around us. Like I feel like it also like, opened a lot of people's eyes to the I mean, between George Floyd's killing and you know that I feel like how can I say that? I feel at least in Europe and on the white side of my family, I
Mm.
feel like that really clarified the message of Black Lives Matters for a lot of people, and
Mm.
it wasn't just like a he said she said. It was like, no, this is an 8 minutes and 49 seconds of a man standing on another man's neck, and you have to watch it. And
Yeah.
I didn't watch it because I don't need to see that, but I feel like a lot of people needed to see that. And so it was kind of just like that initial shock, and then taking the step back and being like, what does this mean? What does this say about us as a country? What does this say about us as a people? I mean, yeah, it was so that the beginning of the the beginning of COVID was definitely a creative time. And then now it's just like I need to get the fuck out of my house. Like
Yeah.
I cannot wait to go to a restaurant. I cannot wait to go anywhere else, because plus like in France we've had restrictions from traveling. So
Mm.
we've been in a restriction. You can't go more than 10 kilometers, which is like 20 miles away from your house.
Wow. Wow.
So even that, I'm just like, let me get out of the fucking city. Like, let me go do something else, please.
Mm. Yeah, it's this. really revealed what's really going on across the world. As soon as the George Floyd thing happened, and Ahmaud Arbery and
Mm,
Breonna Taylor, like that caused a ripple effect all across the world. Like I heard they were marching in France, they were
for
marching in
sure.
Europe, in Africa. Like that really exposed what was really going on. My only my only I don't want to say regret, but the only thing I dislike about it is that a lot of the media has been promoting Black trauma, whether it's on the news or in movies or in music. Like it's like constantly hitting us with subliminal messaging that
Mhm.
we fight and they kick us down. We fight and they kick us down. Like um I was just watching a show on Prime called I think it's called Them, and it's basically about this Black family who moved to Compton, California during like the early 1950s. But
Ah, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically entrenched in Black trauma. Or I just watched another Netflix movie. Like, why can't we have any roles that doesn't revolve around Black trauma? Why can't we
Yes.
just like fight dragons and shit? And it's like just straight science fiction. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just too much. It's just too much. It just feels like to me it's just weighing me down as a person. Not only do I have to watch it on the news or hear it on the radio, and actually live it as a Black man in America. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just too much for me.
For sure. I feel like I was talking to my husband about that the other day. I was just I feel like a lot of the media interest and Hollywood interest and you know Instagram, all that, everything. I feel like when a lot of those things, when I mean, I forgot what the film was. We were watching a movie the other day, and at the end of it, I was just like, even though it was a full Black cast with about a Black story, but directed by a Black director, et cetera, et cetera, I really didn't feel like it was a movie for a Black audience.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a movie for a white audience to kind of like, comfort. Just, I mean, my husband was in agreement. My husband's white, and so he was like, "That's not true." And I was like, "You can't. I don't even know if you can see it when you're white, but like,
Mm,
it's so obvious that this is clearly just for your for your self consciousness to say, oh well, I'm not that racist. Like it's not. Or things have gotten so much better now, and you're like, I feel like no, that was we were talking about. I don't know if you saw the movie that Netflix did. Ma Rainey's Big Black Bottom.
yeah, yeah.
Did you like that?
Um, the only thing I liked about it was Chadwick Boseman's performance. Like he
Yeah, it was the
really,
actors. Yeah, the
yeah,
actors
he
themselves.
it was his last performance, I guess, and he acted his ass off. So
Yeah,
I mean,
for
but
sure.
other than that, it was just a movie.
Well, there were two things that really made me mad, and so it was again this like huge. I mean, not a huge fight, but yeah, my husband gets is used to me getting angry about a lot of things. So at this point, he's just like, okay, okay. But the first thing that really pissed me off was that it was supposed to be in the 1920s, 1930s,
Mm,
and they kept saying the N word. And I mean, that's just for me, it's a whole subject. But I was like, black people didn't talk like that to each other in the 1930s. Like that's not true. They are making a false narrative about this, like, oh my nigger, blah blah. I'm like, no, that's not. That's not
yeah,
how black people heard that on a daily basis, said by white people to them. They were not calling each other that between friends. Like that's not how it happened. Like you were
absolutely.
rewriting history to make yourself feel better that like, now you hear it in rap songs and so you can say it. But no, that is not the history of that word. And the second part was how they portrayed Ma Rainey as like this, like she was constantly sweaty and disgusting, and like I love the actress, but I just didn't understand the choice of like, because she's a lesbian, because like she has this whole like, I feel like Hollywood, especially Black Hollywood, has a hard time accepting gay and lesbian characters.
Mm,
And so there's always, I mean, if I saw another biopic about Bessie Smith, another big jazz blues singer who was also bisexual, and the same thing. It was kind of the same narrative of yes, they have these lesbian lovers, but they're only with them for their money or, for their fame. And they're these like large black women that are always sweaty and they have terrible makeup. And you're like, why does because we're black or because we're fat or because we're lesbian, you have to automatically be repulsive?
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of large, beautiful black women that are lesbians and that are sexually like, for somebody they're sexually appealing.
Mm,
So I
mm.
don't, yeah, yeah. I just feel like even this new, like, kind of like, yeah, this new golden era, this fake golden era for black creativity is dangerous.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't want to say until we, put our money together or whatever and create our own Hollywood. It's
Mm.
like we always have to stream our ideas to the quote unquote gatekeepers. Like in order to get a script through, it has to be about black trauma or slavery or degrading black women no matter what their sexual preference is, and it's troubling. Only thing I do see a positive on today's age is that camera equipment is very inexpensive, and we have platforms like YouTube and Vimeo and stuff like that. And um, people can create like communities, like Issa Rae, who
Yeah,
started her own thing on YouTube and now is a multi-millionaire with a few great shows on HBO. So, um,
but I think that, like, I was just thinking about Issa Rae or I forgot who did Atlanta. I feel like those were
yeah, yeah,
two series that really worked and that found a black audience because, yeah, as you're saying, I mean, though Atlanta did kind of talk about black trauma, I feel like it was a different way of showing kind of just like an average black
yeah,
man and his everyday life, and it wasn't the trauma wasn't the focus. It was just him as a human being, as a
yeah.
person trying to live day to day. I
We're
think those are.
not we're not monolithic as a people. Some of us like science fiction, some of us like classical music, some of us like so many different things and live so many different lifestyles. And there's thousands of millions of different voices out there,
Yeah.
from many different perspectives. So yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to my husband about that the other day too, because now that we have two daughters, we have two little girls, and so we watch a lot of kids TV. And
Hmm.
even that, I was just like, I don't understand how even in children's TV, children's cartoons, you have more redheaded characters than you do people of color.
Mm.
And I'm always amazed. I'm like, why is there always a main character that is redheaded? As if there's some monopoly on. I mean, it's just weird that there's this fake openness towards diversity, but it's only it's this very small vanilla palette
Yeah.
of diversity.
Yeah. I have a quick my lady and I have a 2-year-old, and I don't know if you ever heard of this show called Achille and Me.
No.
Check it out. It's basically I think it's a Zimbabwean children's show, but they go through like letters, numbers, song. Like it's a very good show for
Oh, cool.
children of color.
I'll check it out. We'll check it out.
Yeah. Um, do you get nervous before a performance?
Always.
Hmm.
Always. And then once you get on stage, you're like, okay, we're good. But like, yeah, there's always that, like, those little butterflies before you get on stage. Even like, regardless of the size of the stage, the size of the crowd.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I feel like it's there's that little bit of nervousness is always good before a show. It means you're still paying attention.
Hmm. How do you balance your music career with um, just life, your kids, your spouse? Like, how do you balance all of that?
Well, it's definitely easier in France because in France you have they call it intermittent de spectacle,
Mm,
and it's a very strange process, but you technically are a cultural ambassador of France, and so you have like what would that be called? Like it's like a special. Oh my goodness, it's this special. category in the French work code, and so we're paid. So anyone that's in culture, if you're in cinema, music, dance, theater, painting, even, you have this statue, you have this specific category, work category, and so you get paid every month by the government.
Mm.
So if you don't work, you get paid like a certain amount. Like, I mean, I think it's you get paid by day per day. So like I'm at like 53 euros per day. So if I don't work, I still get paid for the day.
Mhm.
And if I do work, I don't get paid. And then it kind of like it fixes itself out every month. It's really strange. I mean, it's a crazy system, and it only exists in France and in Belgium, but it gives this really nice stability for musicians to where you can have you can just focalize on your art and have like an actual family life or a life on the side, and you're not like, I mean, I feel like a lot of my US friends are working in bars or have these like really kind of shitty work day jobs, and then are traveling on the weekends. And that's just, I mean, it's a tiring lifestyle. So I'm happy that in France we have this kind of social security network.
That's really amazing. I wish we had something like that over here,
It'd be so great. I mean, but
Yeah.
there's definitely negative. I feel like the negative part of it is that you have to have so many performances, or what they call a cachet. So like it's you're getting paid. You have so many per year.
Mm.
So not everyone that makes music or is in art can do this. But what's kind of the negative side of this is that a lot of people, in my opinion, a lot of people make music that they're not necessarily passionate about, but because they know it's going to sell. They know they'll be able to, play in summer festivals. So I've seen amazing jazz musicians that are like playing in European techno concerts, making these like really shitty bands that they don't care about just because they know that they're going to be able to, sell a show. It's not even about selling records or anything about that. It's just you have to be able to play so many shows every year.
Okay. Um, Last question for you. What advice would you give a younger version of yourself about pursuing the career you have now?
Ooh, if I could tell oh my gosh, if I could tell myself something that I wish I would have listened to, is change your band's name. Change it when you get a chance, girl, because it's something that I've hated for. I mean, it's a good name because it tells you what's going to happen at the show, but it's also like, but the word "but" always, I just don't. Yeah, I have a whole
But
thing about the word.
it's unique, like I've never heard any other band with that name.
That's true. I mean, yes, we're the only band with the name Buttshakers, but there's just like a very like childish side to it that
Mm.
I don't know if people right off the bat take us seriously because they're like, oh, Buttshake. I mean, there's just something infantine about it, but
I don't know. There's a lot of other bands with some really strange names out there, so
it's
I don't
true.
think
It's true.
I don't think your band is has the worst of them.
It's not the worst, but like there's some bands where you're like, damn, like the Alabama Shakes. That is a band when they came out, I was like, oh my God,
Mm.
that's such a good name. Like you've still got shakes in it. You're still shaking. You know what you're getting. But like Alabama just sounds it's a good word. It sounds really good.
Um, can we play a quick game called This or That?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool.
How do you play it? What is this or that?
This or That is a game where you have two choices, but you can only choose one, and you have to give a small explanation why. And the whole world depends on these answers.
Damn, okay. Okay. The survival of humanity depends on my responses. Okay.
Okay, cool. Pancakes or waffles?
Oh my God. Okay. I'm gonna say waffles.
Really?
Because yeah, I'm gonna say waffles, but only oh my God. Because my dad made pancakes every Saturday morning. And that was such a pleasure. But you can't have you don't I mean, does it exist? It might exist, but I've never tried a chicken without waffle. I mean, chicken and waffles is that's
Mm,
why I'm going with the waffles. It's the chicken and
okay.
waffles.
Yeah, I love waffles, especially the soft ones. I can't stand crunchy waffles.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Yeah. Plus in France, like it's a real. I mean, oh, because I think waffles are Belgian. I don't know because in
Mm,
France you find waffles everywhere.
yeah. So they indoctrinated you pretty much.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, no, but yeah, I didn't like waffles that much until I had chicken and waffles, and I was like, wow, this is what waffles were made for.
Mm, yeah, yeah. All right. Here goes the next question. Movies about the past or movies about futuristic movies?
Oh, oh, damn, these are hard questions. I'm gonna say if you would ask me literature, I would have said literature, futuristic literature for sure.
Mm,
Sci-fi literature, but sci-fi movies are so. I'm not really into like special effects. That's not a thing that gets me going. So I'm gonna say I like the classic, old school, old theme, whatever they call that. There's a name for that. Timepiece? No, I don't know what
yeah,
they're called
yeah.
anymore. That's
Yeah,
what it
time
is.
period. Yeah, time
The time
periods.
period. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I only get to speak English when I'm doing interviews, so my English is woo. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to speak.
It's all right. Extroverted or introverted?
Uh, my best friend always says that I'm an introverted extrovert. So I like having fun, but then I'm like always afraid of people. So I can't choose. Can I? Oh, do I have to choose one? Extrovert. I'll say extrovert.
Okay, okay. Last one. Guilty conscience or clear conscience, and why?
Oh, guilty conscience because I was raised in a really religious household.
Mm,
I have like, yeah, I was actually talking about that with my, oh my gosh, with my husband. We had a conversation this morning about vanity, and I was telling him that I don't like, not because I don't like what I see, but I don't like looking in the mirror. I
mm,
can't. Um, I recently took some singing lessons with a teacher that was like, you should look at yourself when you're singing, so you know what you're doing. And I was like, I can't. I don't like seeing myself in the mirror, or I mean, yeah, there's just this weird like, and I realized talking about to my husband about it, I'm like, it's just this. I feel like it came from as a kid, this idea of it's vanity and it's not, it's in the Bible, you're not supposed to do it. I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of Christian guilt in my
mm. Yeah,
subconscious that I still have not dealt with even
yeah.
40 years later.
I could definitely agree with you on that. I don't want to say indoctrinated or brainwashed, but
Not far. It's really not far,
yeah, not
honestly.
far at
Now that I
all.
have kids and I'm realizing, I'm like, oh my, yeah, like you have to. I mean, I even catch myself being like, no, like, because you rehear things your parents and your grandparents said, and I just kept hearing, like my grandma always said, cleanliness is next to godliness. Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Mm,
Right? To this day, like it's not even. I just have a thing with like my hands have to be clean, your nails have to be clean. I mean, we could have a whole conversation about black education and cleanliness and how that's whew, that's another trauma. But
yeah, yeah. Um, so it was really amazing speaking with you. I really appreciate you taking the time out to have a chat. How can people listen to your music or get in contact with you, or uh, if the world ever opens up, how can they, I guess, come to one of your performances?
well, they can follow us pretty easily on Facebook, Instagram at the Buttshakers. We have a website if people are into looking at websites, buttshakers.com. And if not, you can find us on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, all that good stuff.
Amazing. I really appreciate it. Would I be able to play one of your songs at the end of this podcast?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. So
Thank you so much. Thank you so
thank
much for
you.
taking the time out. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you again. We will let you know when this episode airs beforehand. We're
Yes,
taking
cool.
a
So we
little
can put
break,
it
but
up.
yeah,
We'll put it up on our social media. Cool.
sweet, sweet. I appreciate it, man. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
All
Have a
right.
good day,
You
and
too.
tell your lady I said hello as well.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. And be safe out there.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Bye.